with vitality. And while it worked, and tanks were now happily taking the vitality accessories, the problem came from the fact that you could get damage from both strength and vitality. So tank damage fucking skyrocketed. It was wild. There were tanks that were doing more damage than DPS. Got ads, I'll wait, I'll hold off on the explanation. Why are you using LB1? It's a little weird. I'm not sure if those guys are in exactly the right spot. Yeah, they're not. I want to hold on to this 2 minute. I believe I need to use my tank stance here because I need to hold on to one of these because it does a tank buster. Yep, there it is. Yeah, let's go ahead and turn that off. Okay. Where was I in that explanation? Oh yeah, tanks were dealing ridiculous amounts of damage because the damage was no longer only scaling with strength, it was now scaling with both strength and vitality. So while they did fix the issue of, you know, tanks taking the strength gear intended for melee DPS, they created a new one in that tanks were now doing a ridiculous amount of damage. This is done charging. Oh no, he's naked. I forgot how fast that goes out. And I believe right here is the tank buster. Oh no, it's this first. There's the tank buster. There we go. Easy. So that wonderful period of time only lasted during Midas, and then during Creator Tier, they took it away. So tanks went back to taking the strength accessories instead of using the vitality accessories. And it wasn't until, I want to say, the second tier in Stormblood is when they finally fixed it, where they just added vitality to all of the accessories, because in the first tier for Stormblood, people were melding vitality to their accessories because it was the only way they could live through some of the attacks that were going out. So for the second tier, they added vitality to the accessories, and they've been like this ever since. But originally, it only had the accessories only had 3 stats. Main stat for whatever class it was supposed to be for, and then the 2 random ones for between crit, direct hit, and all that. Well, not direct hit. Direct hit didn't exist then. Back then it was back then it was well, back during Heaven's Ward, it was accuracy. Stormblood, they changed that to direct hit. Yeah, let's see what we get in the leveling roulette. This was tank and meat, right? Yeah. These are all tank and meat. Dusk Vigil, okay. This is a pretty fun one. I don't think they've changed this one for the duty support yet. Because unlike the leveling dungeons in future expansions, past Shadowbringers, this one was not part of the MSQ. Yeah, bear that in mind. They used to have dungeons, leveling dungeons, that were just not part of the main story. This one came from a side quest. See, I believe the leveling dungeon in Stormblood that was part of a side quest was Shisui. You didn't actually have to do Shisui in the MSQ, it was just a side quest. And then you didn't have to actually do this one. It was also just a side quest. Oh yeah, and circling back to the original topic, that being unique jobs and everything, I listed the typical comps that you would see. Those 2 comps that I listed, Those are the only jobs that got played in Raid. The only time anything outside of that list got played is if you were really, really good at it. When I say really good, I mean like one of the best on your server. Oh, right, I can't do... oh well. It doesn't do that much damage anyway. So Monk was never taken into Raid. White Mage was almost never taken into Raid. Black Mage and Summoner were kind of interchangeable. Most people would prefer Summoner unless you were really good at Black Mage, because Black Mage was notoriously hard to play. And there were some fights that were really bad on Black Mage. Bard was always played unless you were, well, Bard was always played, period. But was required if there was a caster in the group. If there wasn't a caster in the group, then you were just playing whichever mage, whichever range they didn't already have. Paladin was never taken into Raid. Although that has to do with that has a lot more to do with the general. Oh god, I'm gonna die here, aren't I? I have to home gang this. Did not realize he was that far behind me. I mean, I was gonna go straight to the wall, but he wasn't keeping up with me, I guess, so... But all of that had to do with jobs being unique and having their own little niche. Like, yeah, it was cool. It was also kind of shitty because there were a lot of jobs that people just refused to take into Raid. Like, nobody wanted Paladin in Raid because the raids did a whole bunch of magic damage, and Paladins couldn't do jack shit against magic. People wanted Dark Knight because it did more damage and also had more cooldowns to deal with magic. People didn't want Monk because it didn't give a party buff to everyone that people could use. It only gave buffs to itself. Because back then, they had just about every job had some kind of debuff that it could put on the enemy to increase the amount of damage of a particular damage type. Monk's fists do blunt damage, and so they had their dragon kick. What it used to do before it just made boot shine or whatever it's called now auto crit. It used to apply blunt resistance down to the enemy. Dragoons had a move called Heavy Thrust. I don't know if they still have it, but I know they used to. And that was... the purpose of that one was to apply piercing resistance down, and piercing resistance down is why you always brought a Dragoon whenever you had a Fizz ranged, because they gave the piercing resistance down and the Fizz range did piercing damage. Dude, ignore the ads, just kill the boss. Like, you're over there dicking around with the ads and we're already, the boss is dead. The boss would have been dead so much sooner. Anyway. Ninja was always brought along because Warrior and Ninja both applied slashing resistance down, but it was always better to bring a Warrior to do it because it was part of a Warrior's like normal rotation. Whereas with Ninja, it was a separate combo finisher that they had to hit that dealt less damage than their primary combo finisher, which was Alien Edge. Still is Alien Edge, actually. Here we go. Pump them up a little bit. And back then, ninjas had 3 combo finishers. No, 4 combo finishers, because their dot was a combo finisher too. I forget what it was called. Yeah, I forget the name of it, but I remember the animation for it, and I remember that it was a dot that was part of your combo finishers, because you had 4 different combo finishers. There was the dot, Alien Edge, Armor Crush, and the slashing resist down move. I want to say it was Shadow's Edge was the name of the dot. Yeah, because you had like Shadow's Edge, Alien Edge, and Blade's Edge, I think, was the name of the combo finisher that gave you the slashing resistance down on enemies. I don't know, it's been way too long. Way too long. Yeah, you brought Ninja along because they took advantage of the slashing resistance down from fully resistance down there too? Okay. They also brought Trick Attack, which was one of the best party buffs in the game at the time. Still is, realistically. But party buffs are much more common in general, so it's not as special. Back then, there were... Yeah, there were two. There were two party buffs back then, as I recall. There was Trick Attack, and there was Battle Litany on Dragoon, which consequently is another reason why you brought Dragoon. And the ones that didn't have party buffs, guess what? They got ignored. Like, a lot of stuff got ignored because it didn't have something that the other jobs had. So yeah, you want to know why we have job homogenization now? Because people ignored jobs when we didn't have homogenization. That's why. Do I have this? I do have that, but I'm going to roll on it anyway. No, I didn't get it. Oh well. High level dungeon. We get to swap over to Scholar. So, all of this is to say, I don't really have high hopes for them regarding the promised reworks in 8.0 that are going to focus on job identity. Simply because when we had it, the last time we had it, Square Enix was awful at it. Now, it could be that over the years they've learned more about balance and they are better able and better equipped to, handle the burden of balancing the number of different jobs and making them all unique. I don't have high hopes for that, though, because number one, there are way more jobs now in the game than there were back then. Like, let's actually go through the list. Let's see. Oh wait, no, this is better. Okay. Gunbreaker didn't exist then. Samurai Reaper Viper didn't exist then. Sage didn't exist then. Dancer didn't exist then. Red Mage, Pictomancer didn't exist then. And we're not going to talk about Blue Mage. Blue Mage is its own mess. So yeah, I do not have high hopes for them to pull that off. The other argument, by the way, I mentioned that I was going to go through both the arguments that make me have this really angry reaction and want to reach through the internet to smack somebody every time I hear it. The other argument that keeps popping up that makes me very angry is whenever people talk about skill expression. First off, what the hell even is skill expression? What does that mean? What are you talking about? What specifically do you refer to when you say skill expression? It feels like a word that people got from someone that actually knew what they were talking about, and they just repeat it, even though they have absolutely no idea what it means. That's what it feels like. That's the image that I get in my head every time I hear somebody complain about skill expression. But in general, this refers to any time people complain when something in a job's rotation is made easier. And it really gets on my nerves to hear, because why on earth would you want your job to be harder to play? First and foremost. Like, does it, like, give you... I feel like it's some twisted sense of pride that someone gets where they are able to do a job like this. This most recently came about during the ninja changes, where they changed ninja so that now you can move during Tenchi Jin, which is one of, Ninja's big burst abilities. Now, I remember when Tenchi Jin was first released in the game. It was during Stormblood. I didn't play Ninja all that much because Ninja was kind of awful to play. I didn't like it for a variety of reasons. Granted, Ninja is pretty much the only melee, well, not the only anymore, since they added Viper, but for a while, before Viper came along, it was the only melee DPS job that I actually enjoyed playing. But that was only after they changed it in Shadowbringers. When they changed how, specifically the changes to Mudras. When they changed how Mudras work, I fell in love with Ninja. It was amazing. I loved everything about it. Prior to the changes in Mudras, for those that don't know, right now Mudras are what I call a half GCD ability, where they are on the GCD, but they are super quick. Similar to Dancer's dance moves. They're also half GCDs. Previously, they were all off GCD, as was the the ninjutsu button itself. So you would have to hit the off GCD Mudra, Ten, Chi, or Jin, and then hit the off GCD ninjutsu button to actually cast the ability. Effectively, what this meant was that you only ever used one specific ninjutsu anytime you played ninja, outside of trick attack. Okay, you used Huton once, pre-pull, okay, to get your speed buff going. Ideally, you would never have to cast it again. You would just keep refreshing it with Armor Crush. And then you would cast Suiton, again, pre-pull, so you could put up Trick Attack. And you would recast Suiton every time Trick Attack came off cooldown, so you could reapply it. We got ads, I'm gonna wait for the rest of this explanation. Assuming I remember what I'm talking about.